Yes.
We are live. Welcome. It has been in the making for a while and meant to be. We have the amazing Dr. Sam Osmanagić joining us from Bosnia, where he discovered the Bosnian pyramids. Andreas was lucky. You've already been to visit
Thanks
there.
so much, man, for also grabbing me for this, though. I'm glad you were able to set this up. I think Julia also.
Yeah, Julia is the key for this as well, right?
Amazing magic was made to happen tonight. Yeah.
And Julia, you've got to know Sam for a couple of years now with the conferences that you've been doing.
Yeah, we speak at the same conferences. And I'm always like in the front row, like, you know, in awe. And he does the most amazing presentations. And if you guys ever want to go to Bosnia, like you can do a tour with him in June, and you can even go to the pyramid in Egypt in December. And I highly recommend that.
Wow, that's amazing. And then
Definitely
Shem.
on the bucket list. Sorry,
there's one more person on the roster. Just want to make sure we introduce Shem. What's up, Shem?
My goodness, and I had him covered. Sorry, Shem. Are you muted? You there?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you.
There we go. Thank you for joining.
Well, I just wanted to say this because, like, I spent a long time hearing about, Lemuria, Atlantis, all kinds of Bigfoot and everything else, and they lumped the Bosnian pyramids in there, which is good and bad because it meant as a kid I'd heard about this idea for a few years now. I mean, this has been going on for, was it like 17 years or something? So the echoes of it hit me even when I was young, but it wasn't until I actually went there, because when I went there, then I saw them and it became irrefutable. Right. And so anytime now when I talk to somebody about the issue, because for a long time I was reading books about it and everything, now I'll just say, but you just haven't been there. Or have you been there? Because if you've been there, it's obvious. Because immediately you're seeing it. But until that's the only way you might not know it's real, I think, is the problem.
And you got to experience it yourself, Andreas. Like you were saying, and then once you went there, like, how did you feel? Like, how was it?
Well, exactly. So I guess I don't want to make it too much about me. I know, Sam, I want to hear about how you went through this experience foremost. But I said when I saw it, the first thing is my brother and my father and I are driving into Visoko, and you see it from so far away. It's just so obvious because you see it. And then we went to it and we talked to villagers, and they're telling us, as we're getting close to it, the stories that they've had since the Bosnian kings 1,000 years ago. And their stories about why they built their kingdom at the top of this thing, which they said is built by the gods. And so there's mythology. And then there's even stories that the Muslims have about why this is such a holy place and everything else. So there's context already as you're getting into it. You're like, there's something, like, for a long time, as long as we have history, there are people talking about this thing. And then you get into the place and there's just, there's vibration, good energy, good people. And the Bosnian culture all of a sudden presents itself as unique and distinct and liberated and kind of just good vibrations in this way that you feel certain places. There's certain places around the world have been where people have positive vibration, right? Like you can go maybe in Indonesia.
You literally felt it. It resonates with you. So it's not just seeing it, it's experiencing it in the energy that you actually feel in it.
Well, you
And
know,
they-
just that vibration when people are good people, like that's a very distinct feeling, you know. And in some places in Bosnia, there's been wars, right? So, like, for there to be such good feelings there is interesting. Like, everyone you meet is so loving and kind. And again, this is just before you get into the pyramid. Once you get to the actual entrance, right, then you're just like Indiana Jones, because there's these perfect straight line tunnels. There's pure ceramic that's like 10,000 years. Gosh, how old are these ceramics? There's concrete. And the concrete's the part where you're just done. My brother is like, he works in construction. So it's at that moment, someone who'd never even contemplated this at all had to be like, well, from everything I understand about reality, yeah, this is the only logical thing. And it's harder and harder to find reasons to doubt it. I mean, when you're inside of a place that's just, it exists. But sorry, I wanted to hear more about Sam, because like, the question for me is like, how did you deal with the cognitive dissonance, and what happened for you when you discovered this? Like, how did this happen? You know?
Okay, hello guys. Glad to be with you today. It's morning here in Bosnia. Now, for the last 4 decades, I've been researching pyramids and megalithic sites around the world, and I have concluded that almost everything they teach us about the ancient history is wrong. The origin of man, civilizations, and pyramids. When it comes to the pyramids, they tell us they are built in Egypt and Mexico. Wrong. They are built on all 6 continents. For Egyptian pyramids, they've been programming us to think that the pyramids were built as tombs for the pharaohs. Well, guess what? There are 155 pyramids in Egypt. Not 118, as the non-scientific Wikipedia claims. 155. I have investigated all of them, not a single mummy. The pharaohs were buried in the Valley of Kings, Luxor, Karnak, Thebes, Memphis, Abydos, Tandera, a long way from the pyramids. So in 21st century, we really need to answer the question, what was the true purpose of pyramids, when they were built, by who and how? Back in 2005, after I've seen most of the pyramids around the world, my PhD was about the Mayan pyramids in Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Belize. Then I've expanded research to Peru, Bolivia, China, Indonesia, Cambodia, Australia, Sudan, Canary Islands, Mauritius, Spain, Greece. These are all the countries with the pyramids. I came to my home country of Bosnia. At that time, I lived in Houston, Texas. And I saw this hill. Everybody called it a natural because it was covered by soil and vegetation. But I was looking at the geometry, 4 sides, 4 triangular faces, 4 corners, the same slope from bottom to the top. Obviously, 4-sided pyramid. I took compass, and compass showed me that those sides are perfectly aligned with the cardinal points, east, west, north, and south. And this is how the pyramids were built in China or Mexico. We think about Egypt and desert, but other countries, Guatemala, Mexico, China, Indonesia, we are in different climate belt, a lot of rain and a lot of greenery. So back in 2005, I started investigating as the individual. I got permission from the Ministry of Culture, everything we did, geological core drilling, archaeological trenches, lab analysis, anomalies, not natural. I wrote the book, published it, had a big press conference, and announced the news that the first pyramids in Europe have been discovered. In the last 18 years, it has become the most active archaeological site in the world. And this is the result that we produced. We discovered 6 pyramids, which we named the pyramids of the sun, moon, dragon, earth, love, and the 6th pyramid. We discovered 7 entrances to underground tunnels. We have the most extensive prehistorical network of tunnels, which runs for 60 miles. More than 2 miles are open for public. We have Tumulus complex. Tumulus is conical artificial hill. But this is archaeology. What's much more important is the purpose. So we've expanded the project to the interdisciplinary sciences. So we have, besides classical sciences like archaeology, Egyptology, archaeology, biology, paleontology, we have high-tech, geothermal, satellite analysis, georadar analysis. We have dating like radiocarbon, uranium, thorium, luminescence, and most importantly, we have experts in energy phenomena, physicists, electrical engineers, sound engineers, telecommunication engineers, even medical doctors. And we have concluded that the Bosnian pyramids are actually energy amplifiers. They amplify the natural sources of energy. Which ones? Below the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, we have huge iron ore. Iron generates electromagnetic field. The pyramid amplifies this field. How do we know? Because we have measured at the base and at the top. At the top, the signal is 50 times stronger. Under the pyramid, underground water flow, water moves, releases beneficial negative ions. The pyramid amplifies the concentration of negative ions, and we measured the highest concentrations in the world, 2 times bigger concentration than at the Niagara Falls. Then we have, yes.
Sorry, question with this, just to specify for those that are unaware, because there's still like a artificially constructed like river, like running water that goes through the main pyramid that's still running today, and then there's also these like pristine, crystal clear long stretches and tunnels, kilometers I believe, of this primary water that you've also found in there. And are they like it's stacked in layers sort of thing, or like what sort of, how in depth has the LiDAR and the ground penetrating radar studies that you've done with it?
Yes, okay. These are several questions. You are right about the water. Water was always extremely important for the ancients. In Egypt, River Nile. In China, Peru, Mexico, major rivers. In our case in Bosnia, 2 major rivers, River Fonica, River Bosna, a lot of underground water streams.
The literal
water
Bosniak.
moves kinetic energy. We are discovering in 5 tunnels water. It's been there for thousands of years, and crystal clear and clean water. We've analyzed, comparing to our city water. Our city water, no viruses, no bacteria, no fungi, because it's been treated by the chlorine. The chlorine is a poison. In some countries, they add fluoride. UK, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, US, Argentina, Chile, and so on. The fluoride, until 15 years back, was exclusively poison for rats. This is what we drink. Traces of heavy metals, traces of plastic. The water from the Bosnian pyramids, it's not treated, it vibrates high. We sent to the late Dr. Masaru Emoto in Japan. He got it frozen, then filmed through the electronic microscope. It has beautiful hexagonal structure with a lot of crystal-like structure. Comparing to our water, which is deformed, no structure at all, you can see that it is happy water. It vibrates high. And via what we drink, via what we eat, we notice that the pyramid energy, which I just mentioned, affects seeds, agriculture. We did an experiment with the seeds of beans. One control group we kept at home. The other one, tunnels, the third one on the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. And then we planted it. The pyramid seeds were growing 2-3 times quicker, richer, healthier. So the pyramid energy affects our DNA structure. The next one, maybe most exciting. We had 5 teams from 5 different countries, from Croatia, Serbia, Finland, Italy, and Germany, who went to the top of the Bosnian pyramids at 5 different times with their own instruments, and they measured the presence of the energy beam, which is 28 kilohertz frequency, electrical in nature, 13 feet diameter, and as it goes up, it goes all the way to 70 feet, coming back to 1370, and the strength of the signal is getting stronger and stronger as it moves away from the pyramid. In science, this phenomenon is called the scalar waves. The first scientist who was investigating these subtle energies was the genius Nikola Tesla 125 years ago in his lab in Colorado Springs. In the last 50 years, the Russian physicists, they've been working on it. And their conclusion, the scalar waves move quicker than the speed of light. Or to be more precise, the information within the scalar fields move 100 million times quicker than the speed of light. So the movement of the information is instant from one end of the galaxy to another one. So our conclusion number one, the first potential purpose of the pyramid energy is the communication device. And this communication device has been running even today because we have measured it. I do measurements also on some other pyramids and concluded that Khafre, the second largest Egyptian pyramid, is also energetically active. The Kukulkan pyramid in Mexico, Chichen Itza, the Mayan pyramid, energetically active. The Moon pyramid in Teotihuacan, Mexico, also. So this is the knowledge they try to hide from us. They teach us pyramids were built for one dead body, king or pharaoh. It doesn't make sense. Why would somebody spend 6 million tons of blocks for the Great Pyramid of Egypt, for one dead body? Incorporate so much astronomical knowledge, mathematical knowledge, elements of sacred geometry, number pi, number phi, golden section spiral, and so on. Doesn't make sense. But once we realize that the pyramids are energy machines that can affect in very beneficial way the communication, the health protection, molecular structure of the water and the food, and immunity, and our bioenergy field, auric field, to bring back chakras in balance, then it does make sense. The pyramids were built to serve communities of living people and to last for thousands of years.
Well, in your opinion, who built them?
Now, in archaeology, we have 5 questions. The first one is who, when, how, why, what? What is this? We have pyramid complex. Who? Well, right now, we don't have very precise answer on that. However, when we see that they were able to make the best quality concrete, which they used to cover the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. Why I'm saying best quality? Our concretes are in the range when it comes to hardness from 10 to 60 megapascals. 60 made in US, made in Germany. The concrete from the Bosnian pyramids, 155 megapascals. We, the civilization of 21st century, we cannot make such a good quality concrete. So they were very advanced. They knew how to get very specific frequencies, 28 kilohertz. Nikola Tesla, when he built the famous Warden Cliff Tower in the state of New York, 1900, he did a few experiments, and then he was writing in his diary, I found a way to send unlimited quantities of energies, thousands of horsepowers between 2 planets, regardless of their distance. And the frequency he was using was 28 kilohertz, exactly the same that we measure on the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. So the builders, they knew how to get proper frequencies. The next question is how? How did they change the molecular structure of the material to make such a good quality concrete? How did they know about elements of sacred geometry? What are the elements? For example, equilateral triangle, the most powerful geometrical shape. Hexagon, consisting of 6 equilateral triangles. Number pi, 3.14, which is incorporated in Egyptian pyramids. Number phi, golden section or golden section spiral. We can see the tops of the Pyramid of the Sun and the Love and a couple of more pyramid hills. They are all sitting on the same line. When you have those elements, you got the movements of the energy. It has always been about the energy. And finally, the last question, why I started answering that question, communication, health protection, water, food, immunity, and so on. Why I keep saying health protection? We have noticed that when people go to the Bosnian pyramid tunnels, they feel good, they feel light. Deeper they go, they breathe better and better. Since there is only one entrance, which is at the same time exit, it's not logical. You would expect as you go deeper, lack of oxygen. It's not the case. People who have respiratory problems, asthma, for example, they breathe so well that after a couple of times in the tunnels, they don't need air pump, inhalers no more. People who have high blood pressure, it gets normalized. People with a high glucose in the blood, high sugar in the blood, it drops. People with the pains are gone. People with the very serious diseases, tumors, cancers, and so on. After 10 days in the tunnels, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, and for days like that, they can see revolutionary progress of their health. And even though we always say, hey, we are not in the healing business, we don't give the medical guarantees. However, we measure, and this is what we measured, we scientifically proved. There is a combination of 10 elements, and very quickly, the first 5, absence of all harmful radiations. Right now, we are in our homes, our studios, we are exposed to the cosmic radiations. If we accept the fact that we are planet, not the flat Earth. So, harmful radiations. In the tunnels, under the ground, no harmful radiations, no natural radioactivity, no geopathogenic radiations, no signal for the cell phone, no signal for the Wi-Fi. For the first time in our life, we enter the tunnels, no bad energy. Our body cells don't have enemies. They can start doing their job. What is their job? To fix the problems in our body, to start the regeneration process. And we measure 5 more energy phenomena. The best frequency of electromagnetic field, 28 kilohertz. That's the frequency of our planet. She is our mother. She can give us only good frequencies. Unlike us, we make up frequencies and the voltages. For example, in the US, 110 volts and 60 hertz. You touch the loose wire, it kills you. That's our technology. Number 7, the best frequency of the ultrasound, 28 kilohertz. It's all measurable, as you can see. This is the frequency of the levitation. We feel light. Number 8, 7.83 hertz. This is called original Schumann resonance. This is the resonance of our planet. When we think, if anybody do that anymore, we create brain waves at 7.83 hertz. As long as we have the same frequency like our mother, we are in balance. However, due to our bad technology, computers, laptops, cell phones, microwaves, satellite dishes, in big cities, they are so contaminated with this energy that the frequency changes. In Sarajevo, capital city of Bosnia, 12 hertz. In Munich, Germany, 15 hertz. In New York, 18 hertz. What happens? Different frequencies, disbalance, it creates stress. You need to go to the big city. Oh my gosh, the atmosphere is not so good. The frequency, the stress, this and that. You go to the village, you breathe, you love it. So in Bosnian pyramid tunnels, it's 7.83. It brings you back to the balance. And I mentioned negative ions. Negative ions clear the atmosphere from dust, from pollen, from smog, from microbes, viruses, bacteria, fungi. You go inside, they clean your body from outside and from inside. Did I say viruses? Of course I did. If coronavirus was a virus, it protects us from corona. You know, in our homes right now, we have 20, 30, or 50 negative ions per cubic centimeter. You go outside, a little bit fresher, 100. You go to the top of the mountains, pine trees, 1,000. You go to Bosnian pyramid tunnels, and you heard that, between 20 to 50,000 negative ions. And during the winter, with less people, 220,000. Niagara Falls, 100,000. So, when you combine all these elements, the Bosnian pyramid tunnels are the safest and the healthiest place on the planet, and that's why we have this healing effect. And if we get lucky, even rejuvenation.
How often are you able to go inside of them?
Well, 15 years back, I came back to Bosnia from Houston. I moved to Sarajevo first. A couple of years back, when I sold my business in Houston, I built my house here. Applying elements of sacred geometry, it's just 100 meters, 330 feet from the tunnels. So how often? I go 3-4 times a week. Plus my employees, they work in the tunnels, Ravne 1, Ravne 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I go to different tunnels, I go to the pyramids, so I combine those energies. And when it comes to the drink, I drink only the pyramid water, and I drink, since I have the fruit trees here, which I never spray with pesticides and so on, organic, 40 years old, this is the only drink I have. My own juice, from apples, from pears, and my own pyramid water. And I am happy.
That's awesome.
So yeah, maybe go into that a little bit about the pyramid water, and also just because it's interesting. I noticed when I was there, the ionic feeling in the tunnels, like not a lot of fungus is interesting, and that you've got, except for maybe like right at the very front of the cave where you've got tourists that are coming in and out, you might have like a cute mushroom, like, but then once you get into it, it's like you'd think
Leave
deeper
your
in.
fungi at the door.
Yeah, once you get in, it's like super clean, it's sterile, and the air is so clean, and you're just wondering like how is this working, that it's ionizing the particles and pulling them down so that they're like, what's going on with that?
Exactly that. What are the negative ions? There's some extra electrons in atoms or molecules, and they are free in the air, negatively charged. When there is a dust, they connect with the dust, they become heavy, drop to the floor. They connect with the smog, drop to the floor. So they clean the atmosphere from everything.
Wow.
That's why you can breathe so well. That's why the people with asthma, they start breathing really deep and really well.
Okay, and then also really quickly, do you think with the cleaning of the water, because you've got pyramid water and it seems so great, and you've got Giza by the Nile, and you've got like Teotihuacan's by like the Montezuma, like all these rivers, do you think that the pyramids are to put out like frequency cleaned water, like to spread it? Is that kind of the goal, you think, with these things? Or
pyramids always multi-layer purposes. Water, extremely important. Energy beams, extremely important. Health protection, extremely important. Food, agriculture, immunity. And when it comes to immunity, the last 3-4 years, they were telling us the vaccine is the key word. It's not. Being vaccinated or non-vaccinated, everybody's going to get the viruses and they're going to get sick. And then the question is of our immunity. You go to the tunnels, your immunity rises up. So as you can see, really the pyramid energy affects the major functions in our life. And that's the reason why they wanted to hide for us. The pyramid energy is clean, unlimited. And once you build the pyramid complex, it is free. They work forever. And the running water is important because the whole process with this kinetic energy starts. We have water under the pyramid tunnels moving towards the pyramid. You have the energies in the tunnels moving towards the pyramid, most probably feeding the pyramid with the energy. It's active energy machines. But you have noticed also the tunnels, what we do there. There are two civilizations. First, who built this network, and the second one, who closed all the tunnels. They fill the tunnels with the filler material. So what we do, we are removing the filler material. The more tunnels we open, energy is getting stronger and stronger. The concentration of negative ions, higher and higher. The strength of the signals within ultrasound and electromagnetism, stronger and stronger. So imagine once we clear all the tunnels, all the way to the pyramids, what kind of very strong energy
we'll be able to see that beam. Everybody will see the beam when you have it fully.
And you know what? You are probably right. This is what I call spirituality. Not spirituality in a sense, religious or faith. That's separate. For me, spirituality is development of spiritual senses. So we can create a picture beyond the physical reality. The physical reality is based on our 5 physical senses. We can see, we can hear, we can taste, we can smell, and we can touch. But our physical senses are so limited. For example, what we can hear is a sound. Sound is from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Above 20 kilohertz is called ultrasound. Below 20 hertz is called infrasound. We cannot hear, but we can measure. we do have a spiritual sense, which is counterpart. So we actually can hear even more. We don't develop it. What we see is less than 1% of the world around us. We see what's visible. We see basically within the frequency of those 7 colors. Which 7 colors? If you have a prism, the light coming through a prism, then we can see those 7 colors. It starts with the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Of course, those 7 colors have been kidnapped by the LGBTIQ today. But scientifically speaking, this is what we see. And this is 0.3% of the visible spectrum. Less than 1%. This is what we see. Our cats, they can see at least 2 or 3%. My cat is usually fixing, its eyesight above my head. I look at her, I see nothing. And then, my cat moves, with the eyes like somebody following some movement. I see nothing. What is he seeing? He's probably seeing some ghosts or some orbs or some extraterrestrials. He sees something.
There's a lot of these.
We don't see that.
There's a lot of these revelation, like these like spiritual beliefs around like pyramids and people seeing something amazing in a pyramid. I mean, do you think other pyramids, like you're saying, this one's functioning still? What about Mexico and Giza? Are they broken? Can we fix them by unfilling the tunnels the same way? What's the deal?
When I take my groups to Egypt, one of my favorite places is the Red Pyramid in Dakhshur, because you can enter there and usually there are no tourists. You go there, you take your digital camera or your cell phone, you are filming. All of a sudden, you can see not tens, not hundreds, but thousands of orbs. Orbs are light beings. What we see over there and what we see here in Bosnia, when it comes to orbs, they are usually white, they are spherical, thousands of them, even though they can be hexagonal and different shapes. They
and there's the little ones. I've seen lots of videos in Luxor and stuff at night.
Exactly.
Where little guys come in.
How come they are there? Because they are attracted by the pyramid energy. So it tells me that the Red Pyramid is also active and it attracts those orbs. And with the little...
Sorry to interrupt, Sam. Don't you have a video of the Bosnian pyramids where there's tons of them coming out of the tunnels? Do you have the reference that I could maybe pull that up and play it while you're describing this?
Well, I have it on our YouTube channel, Bosnian Pyramids TV, and try orbs, the keyword orbs. What happened, this project has many volunteers. So we had a couple of volunteers from Netherlands, and they were filming in the newly discovered tunnels orbs. It was not 1 or 2 or 5 or 10. It was a river of orbs. People sometimes saying, they are not light beings. It is probably humidity. It is dust. It is this and that. Well, wait a minute. Once you see the video, you can see the river of orbs, millions and millions of them moving, going back and forth, and then stopping, then going back, and then going to the left, then going to the right. So, there you go. So this is one of the photos. You see, the orbs are coming from the newly discovered tunnel.
Wow. Yeah, it's so crazy in there. It's amazing.
It reminds me of what people get in front of the Sekhmet statue in Egypt.
And so you also keep in mind like a lot of the sediment and everything, because like this is all unburied. This was.
You see how they change direction? Yeah.
Oh yeah, like they go into little flows and stuff.
Yes.
And there's like river rocks on the
They're
walls.
circling. They're circling. And they're going up.
Yes. So I was talking about those spiritual senses. So the first 5 spiritual senses, and we have 30 of them. The first 5 are the counterparts to our physical senses. But also we have ability, which we don't use, to exchange thoughts. Telepathy is the spiritual sense. Telekinesis, the power of moving the objects with the power of our mind, is a spiritual sense. Even teleportation, moving back in time or in the future through space and time, it's a spiritual sense. And we have noticed that once in the tunnels, with the time, you can develop some of your spiritual senses. You can start feeling the energy. You can start seeing the energy like around your body, our auric field. With the time, we could even develop ability to see the colors of the energy, the colors of our chakra, the colors.
The aura.
So these are the spiritual senses, and it seems that pyramids, when they were really active and strong, they would enable people, or at least those beings who build them, to develop, such type of senses. So I would say the pyramid energy was so beneficial and so powerful. They were field schools. So imagine that we apply the pyramid energy in our life today. Our friends from India, late Dr. Brahmarshi Patriji, he built 400 pyramids, modern pyramids, in central and southern India, from the Bangalore all the way to the Indian Ocean. In Russia, our friends Valery Uvarov has been building pyramids in Moscow, St. Petersburg, and then in Siberia, in Tomsk. I was the first foreigner to visit this complex in Tomsk. 33 pyramids. They built it there. They affected the climate. It's Siberia. It has always been cold. And now they started, growing apples and other fruit trees, which was never, possible before. It's becoming the mild climate. So the pyramid energy is one of the ways out from what we have now. And this is, we call it energy crisis, but it's not about the crisis, whether you have enough or not. It's about the source of the energy, coal, oil, gas, nuclear. It contaminates, it's limited, it's very expensive, and it is in the hands of very few elites who then, through media, corporate world, politics, try to control our lives.
So that's the thing I was thinking about, because you look at some of the elite who drink mineral waters, because again, your water thing, I want to get back to the holy water from the pyramids. I think it's interesting. Memory water, primordial waters. And, how is it you're thinking this water is healthy? What's it doing that's so different, that's structuring it, that's making it
Structured
healthy?
water.
Yeah, but how is a
structured
pyramid structure water, and then how are you able to bring that elsewhere and give it to someone? Because it seems like that's what the Bogomils went to the Kievan Rus. They were using that pyramid to make holy water, apparently. So it must be a thing.
Why is the structure of the water so important? I mentioned our water, which has basically so much poisons, heavy metals, plastic, fluoride, and chlorine. So when you look at the molecular structure, it does not have any structure, completely deformed. So it's a low vibration. You drink it, it can maybe help you with your thirst, but actually it does not feed your cells. We did experiment using city water and the pyramid water. And the group of 10 Slovenians in Ljubljana, they were drinking, different types of water. We did not tell them which water they're going to be drinking. And then we were checking them through one instrument called GDV. We were checking the energy aspect of this water. People who are drinking city water, it would simply go through their bodies. But the pyramid water, it feeds your cells. And like I said, the vibrations, the pyramid water, highly vibrated water, it makes you vibrate high. And we know when we are, jealous, when we are violent, we vibrate very low. And the opposite, when we have love for the whole world, we vibrate very high. During Corona, people were at home within 4 concrete walls, looking at the magical box, filling their heads with how many tested, how many sick, how many dead. So we are what we think. We are what we eat, we are what we drink, we are where we go. We stay at home or we go out to the park, to the mountains. We have, very bright thoughts. Everything is about the vibration in our life. When we vibrate high, we are satisfied, we are filled, we are happy, we have love. And what is the purpose of our life? Is it to collect material stuff and we'll never be fully satisfied and happy, or to share, to love, to respect, to socialize. So I think it has a much, much deeper meaning what we drink and, of course, what we eat.
I was going to say, I brought my father, and for like 10 days, we were in Visoko and drinking water, and showering and bathing in Visoko water, like from the mountain. And I feel amazing. And my father, he's doing better, I think, simply because of the water. So I'm thinking about going back just for the water. I also have one other question, which is like, if you go to Visoko, if you guys go to Bosnia and you go around there, you'll see there's a lot of crazy, awesome, mystical, magical stuff. There's the whirling dervish. There's there's Madrigora where the kids saw the angel Mary. There's a lot of apparitions and magical things. So I wonder, do you think that, you were talking about the pyramid as a contact point between consciousness or other worlds or something like that? What do you believe about that? I mean, in that place in general, having so much of those kinds of visitations.
I mentioned energy beam. We were thinking, where does this beam go? Is it directed to some particular star system? Well, this is what we measured. In the morning, the energy beam is moved a little bit to the east, and the sun rises on the east.
Imagine driving up to that and not knowing it was a pyramid. You know what I mean?
Yes. At the noontime, it's moved to the south. And exactly at the noontime, our sun is located south. In the afternoon, southwest. In the evening, west. It means that the energy beam follows the path of our sun. Does it mean that our planet is communicating with the sun? It's possible. Using the sun as the cosmic gate and then communicate with other star systems, it is possible. And with other galaxies, it's also possible. But then the pyramids do emit the energy, but at the same time, the pyramids are antennas. They receive the energy. So we have two-way information flow, the communication. So if our planet is point A, it has to be point B and point C and point D. So we are coming to something that I named the cosmic internet. Obviously, it was not done by the primitive Paleolithic people. It was done by more advanced civilization.
It's interesting looking at the laser internet systems that Google's building. They're like, let's just see if we can send data in light directly, unilaterally towards some other transceiver.
But not light, though. It's scalar technology, scalar energy, like Sam was stating, and that's exponentially faster than light travel. It's quantum. It essentially quantum entangled.
Yeah.
The scalar energy is going through the space without losing any energy. When we send something due to the resistance, it loses the energy. Scalar does not. And secondly, when scalar energy goes through the cosmic bodies, it does not lose the energy also. That's why it is so important for the cosmic communication. And like I said, the speed is so big. It's almost like the speed of our thoughts. When you send the light around our planet, theoretically, in 1 second, it would make 7.5 circles. So this speed of light for our planet is plenty. It's more than enough. But when you send it to the sun, it takes 8 minutes. When you send it to the northern star, bright northern star, it takes 700 years for the light to travel to northern star. When you send it to the center of the galaxy Milky Way, 30,000 years. And when you send it to the center of the universe, where the old guy in the white robe and the white beard is sitting, being very busy creating galaxies and different forms of life, it takes 5 billion years. I remember a few decades ago while I was in school, they were telling us, the light we see from the deep in the universe, that's the light from 5 billion years ago. 5 billion years. So if you send information so deep in the universe, I mean, who's going to wait for 5 billion years to send info, another 5 to receive, respond back? So from the cosmic perspective, the speed of light is very, very, very slow. And it seems that the scalar energy is so much quicker. And it is usable for such a vast distances.
Also, light is like degradation. So we consider time to be the degradation of matter because of stars. So if there's something outside of that, it's outside, scalar waves are outside of time being made by breaking down of particles by radiation. So it's
there's now the whole new question. It seems that the time is also maybe limited, not only for our solar system, maybe for our galaxy, maybe outside it, maybe not. For us, the time is the absolute category, but for the universe, the time is so relative, and
maybe different stars have different time. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, this is what we measured, and this is where our knowledge is right now. Even though what I'm just saying, for most of the scientists, is science fiction, because they live in the world where Einstein's hypotheses are still ruling. They are saying the speed of light is the biggest speed. If you try to travel quicker, you are going to dematerialize. They live in the world in which Egyptian pyramids.
That is true, but it's only true to the third dimension. They're not able to think outside of the box, aka the fourth dimension, and higher up, all the way into the multiverse.
And Russell Targ took light and slowed it down and sped it up. Like light can travel at different speeds for the atheist scientists that are still antiquated out there. Just so they know, yeah.
That's true. That's true. And what is the advantage of what we do? This is for the first time that one non-profit, non-government organization is running a huge project. So there is nobody above us to tell us what we can say and what we cannot say publicly. When it comes to the days, to the purpose of the energy and so on, we can say and we can share that with the world. That's why they consider us a threat. Wikipedia, National Geographic, and Encyclopedia Britannica, and Smithsonian, and Egyptologists like Dr. Zahi Hawass and the others. But for us, it is irrelevant.
We're not mentioning names here,
Yeah. What is relevant? Yes, it is the real truth. Obviously, we had in the past very advanced civilization. But not only that we are getting to the truth about the purpose of the energy, we actually apply that energy in the real life. If we have hundreds upon hundreds of healing testimonials, it means it did help to the people. And that's a very important thing. We can see so many people telling us about their spiritual experiences, telling us, hey, we are not only physical, but we are spiritual beings. It helps me to be more satisfied. So it is very important. And then you saw that at our beautiful park, 10 years ago, I spent all my US savings. I purchased 100,000 square meters, more than 1 million square feet of the muddy, swampy land with the garbage everywhere. We cleaned and cleared everything. We transformed it into one of the most beautiful parks in Europe. With the beautiful,
you gotta shoot movies there. It's one of the most wonderful places. It's aesthetic.
Installations, labyrinths of energy, labyrinths of love, labyrinths of health, megalithic circles, beautiful temples, the pyramids. Lately, beautiful sports complex with Novak Djokovic, the best tennis player in the world, the top quality tennis courts. We have beach volleyball, which I played yesterday.
This is huge because the local community, no, seriously, kids need things to do. And so they're giving a place to these local kids to go and play sports with each other. That's in you have to understand how beautiful this really is. It's actually
we just built the Vedic house based on Vasta principles. We built the statue of Nikola Tesla, and so on and so forth. People come. Last year I had 155 school children coming to the park for free, no entrance fee.
Yeah.
Parking for free. Toilets, basically in the park, they are for free. All the installations are for free. Then we organize festivals and concerts. They're all for free. I pay the artist, but I let people enter for free.
He's kidding about how bad the toilets are. The toilets are actually really nice too. They're better than American toilets. Like they really care. Like,
Very high standard in everything.
they have high standards. They really
Yeah.
do. It's pretty
So
impressive.
what we have there, it's really it's a cultural oasis and sport oasis, and the oasis of the true history, and it's serenity, the positive energy. People love it. No discrimination. Coming people, from all over the world, we don't care about their religions, or races, or nationalities, or they come there, they are all with a smile, they love to come to the place, they come time after time, bringing their friends. In 2018, I had 40,000 visitors without a penny from the government. 2019, 50,000. 2020, 76,000. 2021, 136,000. 2022, 155,000. This year, we expect 200,000.
Wow.
Next year, maybe 250,000, then half, then million. So it's becoming so important place. But for the people who vibrate with this energy, not everyone will come. I know there are, haters out there. There are skeptics. They say there is nothing. That's okay. People make their choices. But those who come, they're gonna have benefits.
So also, I mean, you like you kind of mentioned, there's a lot of people out there, and you had to play it safe. For years, you had to do the same thing as Graham Hancock and be like, well, let's just talk about the facts, right? But they kind of just have ignored and closed their ears and eyes, and literally got people and paid them to refute themselves, right? You get witnesses to come there, and then they go to Egypt. Back from like Egyptologists will go to Bosnia, see the pyramid, say, okay, this is a pyramid. Then they'll come home and then they'll lose their tenured professorship unless they refute it. So what's been going on? Why do you think it is that there's such a push to hide even just the most like reasonable, practical look? This is a freaking pyramid. Let's just relax. Even beyond that, like why can't they handle just the simplest aspects of this? Why have to refute?
Yes, really. What is their motivation? I mean, you go to Mexico or Guatemala. They have 100,000 pyramids, 97% of them still covered by the forest. And nobody disputes that. I mean, they're looking for the pile of, soil. They say, oh, this is a pyramid. You come to Bosnia, also covered by soil and vegetation. This is a pyramid, which is so obvious for sides and triangle faces. No, it is natural. It is
Right.
it's impossible to have pyramids.
It's the fact that now there's Göbekli Tepe, and they're also covered up with this same pebble-like material at the same 11,500 years ago, right? That's the correct dating of the time that you got with like the plant material and stuff in the substrate that you've removed from
concrete.
All of these tunnels so far.
Concrete and ceramic.
Now, Göbekli Tepe, I went there several times. I did my documentary, and I was taking groups over there. When I talked to late Dr. Klaus Schmidt, who discovered Göbekli Tepe, he told me probably the age is more than that, 15 to 18,000. What you can read on many sources, 11,600. However, Dr. Schmidt did 4 radiocarbon dating. They showed him 10,000 BC. 10,000 BC, that's 12,000 before present. But when you do radiocarbon dating, you need to calibrate it. You add about 14%. So the true age is 13,600. However, the mainstream science does not want to go over 12,000 years. This is for them Paleolithic. Nothing was happening there. But guess what?
There can't be anything that ties into what would validate Plato's Atlantis and the Younger Dryas catastrophe event. No.
Yes, you are exactly right. So we go 15 or 18,000 years. Now, Dr. Schmidt uncovered 3 megalithic circles. So those megaliths are in the shape of letter T. They are from very hard limestone. So around everything is limestone, but somebody found the hardest about 2 kilometers away. Today they use this limestone to build the highways. So you get there. 3 of them were uncovered. When he died, the Turkish government took over 3 more, so 6. But Dr. Schmidt told me there are probably 100 megalithic circles. So imagine 100 Stonehenge megalithic circles at one place. What they teach us in school says that only when the agricultural societies developed 5,000-6,000 years back, they had some extra food, they had some extra profits, so they were able to build megalithic monuments. Well, this is more than 12,000 years. No agricultural societies, just nomadic tribes, according to the mainstream science. How is that possible? And then not a single residential house was discovered around those megaliths. You would expect to have cities of 100, 200,000 people who can support the work of 20,000 workers.
The laborers, the farms, the
it's
food.
not there. Something odd is happening there. Now, I was the only scientist who actually did energy measurements at the site. I measure electromagnetic field, electrical field, ultrasound, level of orgone energy, and so on. What is orgone? Orgone or life or prana or chi energy. There is a special instrument to measure it. It's called experimental life energy meter. I found out that the values for orgone energies were extremely high. Now, to give you an idea.
A specific wavelength for me quickly that I can pass on to some of my science guys, if you don't mind.
Experimental life energy meter made by Heliognosis from the US. Experimental life energy meter, Heliognosis. So it works on the scale from 0 to 100. For example, our cities, 10% life energy. Contaminated. You go to the villages, 20, 25%. People are from 50% to 100%. And Göbekli Tepe had 55% energy level. The stones were alive, meaning this site is also energetically active and alive. So I was the first one, doing the measurements over there. Even the Dr. Klaus Schmidt, he was an archaeologist. They are looking for the ceramics and the primitive tools. They try to explain Göbekli Tepe or pyramids with primitive tools. You cannot do that. However, if your access is interdisciplinary, you got all these different sciences, different scientific instruments, then you can figure out something.
Sam, I found it really fascinating. You talked about it in your book you found runic symbols or language beneath, and you had it decoded, or somebody decoded it, and it talked about the conduit being closed.
Yes, you are right. Now, in Rame tunnels under the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids, we discovered many blocks. We analyzed them, they are ceramic blocks. On one of those big blocks, they are multi-ton blocks. On one of them, we found carvings of some type of symbols. It was like a combination of the symbols and the letters. And the best known combination in Europe are the runic symbols or the runes, runic writings. Now, when it comes to runes and when it comes to communication, this is my classification. We have 4 levels of writing. The first level are the signs. For example, arrow. Arrow, go left or go right. This is the first basic level. The second level is alphabet, as we have it. So this is these are the photos from our park. This is our park, beautiful park. So the second level is the alphabet, A, B, C, D. Those letters, they don't have meanings. Only when you put 5 or 10 letters together, you get the word, you're getting the meaning. That's the second level. The third level, high level, are the symbols. For example, the Maya symbols, or hieroglyphic writings, or Kabbalah. So the symbols, every symbol.
Or alchemy symbols.
There you go. Every symbol has a meaning. And when you put 2 symbols together, like Maya were doing, the symbols then communicate, making a synergy and a new meaning. And then the symbols from the first row communicate with the symbols from the second row, diagonally, another meaning, and so on. So this was the third level. And the fourth level are the energy symbols. Sometimes you can see, from the drone or from the space, you can see some symbols somewhere in the area, in the ambience, that they are energy symbols. They affect energetically the neighborhood. So the runic symbols are at the level number 3. So they are symbols. So we discovered 8 symbols on this particular block, and they've been deciphered by 2 persons both of them are in the US, the professors, and the translation goes like this. The gate has been closed. We are at the standstill. We will have to defend ourselves and conquer until the cosmic gate is opened. So this was decipherment of those 8 symbols. Now we got another translation. It was very, very similar, just they added the element of water, the big water. So it's very possible that we are talking the flood, maybe the biblical flood from 11,700 years ago, or some, big flood waves and so on. So they are not the pyramid builders, but they are somebody who happened to be there during those big catastrophes. So many, many secrets over there. And the beauty of what we do is that we are discovering the new stuff. I mean, if you are archaeologists, if you are a student of archaeology, historians, they give you the site which everything is already known. You go to the ancient Roman, grave site or ancient Greek, whatever temple, everything is known. There's nothing to discover. But in our case, we make discovery literally every season.
Why do they call it the Younger Dryas if it was so wet? Sorry, I just had to say that. No, but it seems like you've got a lot of evidence, and the problem with it is basically that your pyramid's older than their pyramid. Is that kind of what it sounds like, right? Because like their pyramid's a newer pyramid, and so it makes them think like you invented pyramids and they're jealous. Is that kind of what's going on?
Well, I would say probably the combination of the factors. But number one, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is the largest on the planet. We were using a LiDAR technology. That's a new technology where you fly over the place, you have a laser type instrument, you shoot the rays, and the rays go in between the leaves and the branches, they hit the ground, and you can get the exact shape of the ground with the forms and so on. So basically you can eliminate the greenery. You can eliminate the existing buildings. So once we got the results, the height of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is 368 meters. The Great Pyramid of Egypt, 146.6, so 2.5 times higher than Egyptian pyramid. So
and size isn't everything, but it
biggest
does
pyramid is Bosnia.
But it makes sense also that like micro sizing comes later, right? Like a bigger thing is older.
Yes, but it's a combination. The most precise orientation to the north. Egyptian pyramid, like Great Pyramid, has an error from perfect north to 0 degrees and 3 minutes. Bosnian pyramids, 0 degrees, 0 minutes and 12 seconds. Number 3, the best quality concrete. Number 4, the most extensive underground tunnel network. But number 5, what is the most important is the age. We've done 28 radiocarbon dating, uranium thorium analysis, and luminescence analysis. These are all available today in the scientific world. For example, we discovered fossilized leaves between 2 layers of concrete. So imagine the pyramid, that picture that you were showing, the green pyramid. And okay, here are our volunteers. You have 4 feet of soil. You see upper left is soil. You remove the soil, you find the construction. You find the concrete. So between the top layer and the layer below, we discovered fossilized leaves. Now, those leaves are organic material. How did they get there? They got there during the construction phase. We did the dating, and the age is 29,200 years plus minus 400 years. This is radiocarbon dating. Now, in order to get calibrated date, we add 14%. So you see, okay, this is the final concrete block.
Okay, look at that. That's natural, guys. That's natural.
So
how you feel now?
Yeah, rectangular block. Rectangular block, which is shaped on
All
6
natural.
sides. 6 sides, 6 times 90 degrees, and so on. So
Disneyland is natural. Someday someone's going to be at Mount Rushmore and be like, God made this,
So we go back for 33,600 years. So this is the answer to your question. According to the mainstream archaeology and history, we are no older than 6,000 years when it comes to the advanced societies. And now because of Bosnia, we go back 33,000 years. And that's not really the end of the story. What I know, traveling the world, the Machu Picchu, 54,000, and so on. So we have civilization in the distant past.
So
Who
the
were
Machu
they?
Picchu, you're saying that it's been rebuilt since a 54,000-year-old pyramid that was the original pyramid there.
You go to Machu Picchu, they tell you the stories. Oh, it was discovered 1910, when this guy from US came and, he gave his silver dollar. I mean, this is irrelevant. You look at the place, you can see 4 distinctive civilizations, 4 distinctive construction styles. And the first one was the most advanced because they were using blocks of 250 tons, the first layer. And physical chemical analysis are telling us that those blocks are not from the area, not from Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu, by the way, means old mountain. It is from Bolivia, 160 miles away. So somebody brought 250-ton block from Bolivia.
Hold on, Sam. I got to interrupt on that. I'm not sure if you're aware of Dr. Bob Greenyer's work on the geopolymer, and that most likely these blocks are all geopolymer, and that when a site like where the Machu Picchu for the blocks from Bolivia, it's that they would have ground the material down. That's why you see like these scoops, they were grinding it into powder that then they, take in bags like cement, which it's just a more advanced cement. And then they have the lime reaction, which is a chemical reaction, which then actually bonds into crystal, atomically structured, as opposed to just a sedimentary form of our weak concrete, this exponentially stronger geopolymer fix. That's why they're lasting tens of
and they have
thousands.
that's what they have. They have geopolymer in Bosnia.
Now, the first scientist who was actually established the science of geopolymerization is Dr. Joseph Davidovich from France. And he was the first one to come forward with the idea that Egyptian pyramids were used with the geopolymer blocks. All the Egyptologists attacked him, but then when he established his Institute for Geopolymers near Paris, he experimentally proved that using the same elements like Egyptian blocks, that he got the same blocks and that he could build a small pyramid there with those blocks. He also came with the idea that some of the blocks from the pre-Inca civilizations were also due to the geopolymerization process. But then he was saying that they used chemicals to melt the natural stone to add the additives. Once it gets hard, you got very hard blocks. It was much easier to manipulate with them and then to place them one next to each other without any empty hollow space between them. And that's the reason why they look so perfectly. I'm not disregarding that. I'm just saying that the physical chemical analysis of those blocks at Machu Picchu are showing that the same type material closest is in Bolivia. And they're 250 tons. The second civilization were using blocks which were tens of tons in weight. The first one, when they were making those blocks or shaping them or making them, they are polygonal, meaning they have more than 4 sides, more than 4 corners, 6, 8, even more. The most corners are at the Cusco, in those walls over there, 26 different sides, 26 corners. Imagine, it's like a very complicated puzzle. How do you put not only first row, but third and fourth row with so many corners? How do you put it together? Today, we would be probably using 5 or 10 cranes to try to kind of, put them together. Or if they were made during the geopolymerization process, it would be much easier. You pour them and you have pieces of wood or something in between. Then you remove the wood or you remove some type of very thin material. And then you are getting such a perfect connection.
Molds, right? Exactly. And that's why they're earthquake proof. and this polygonal cement. That's why
Exactly.
none of
Yes.
them are
Yes.
parallel or the same. Everyone is different, and exactly for that purpose.
Very important feature that you just mentioned, earthquake proof. When the Spaniards came in the 16th century, they basically demolished, they destroyed most of the pre-Incan structures, and they were building their palaces and churches and cathedrals. When there was a catastrophic earthquake in 1950s in Peru, it destroyed all the European construction, exposing pre-Inca structures over there, and they were intact. When you build structure with different size blocks, you don't have two blocks the same size. Sometimes very small, in between 5 or 6 much bigger ones. You are right. During the earthquake, it does not collapse, but it locked better together. So we can see all kind of miracles over there. And I was talking about the Machu Picchu, the second civilization, tens of tons. The third one, they were using uniform blocks between 500 kilos and 2 tons. That reminds me a lot to ancient Roman building. And the fourth one, after thousands of years, Incas rediscovered this lost city in Andes on the top of the mountain. And what they did, they used small rocks, making divisions, making primitive roofs. And this is where they were bringing royals.
Literally just piling stones on top of each other was the best they could do. They couldn't even cut stones, yet our modern archaeologists try to give them credit for building all of it. It's just
exactly right. And you read any reference, you will see Machu Picchu, royal retreat for ancient Incas. I mean, they came the last, and they were the most primitive. We don't see evolution. On the contrary, we see devolution. So those tens of thousands of years ago, they were the most advanced. Instead of what they teach us, that we are the most intelligent and the most beautiful, well, we are not.
How accurate is carbon dating? I've heard some studies say that they're going to be 1,000 to 2,000 years of discrepancy between certain results.
Today you can radiocarbon date up to 54,000 years. But deeper you go, the error is bigger and bigger. The error can be 10%, even 20%. But in the case of Bosnian pyramids, if it is 30,000 years, if you are 10% off, really, 27,000 or 33,000, it does not mean a lot. It is extremely old.
I agree with that, but you're claiming they're more recent than that. For example, like there was a study done in 1971 where seals that were immediately killed at that point in time, they were like 46. They radiocarbon dated them right when they killed them, and it said they're 46,000 years old or something like that. Maybe my number's a little bit off, but it's something ridiculous like that. So
I agree. It's always important if your samples are not contaminated, how you treat them and stuff like that. But listen, this is the state of our science. Right now we have those 3 methods, and we use all 3 of them. Radiocarbon, we've done the most, but then uranium-thorium analysis, that one is much more precise. We've done analysis in the Bosnian pyramid tunnels of the stalagmites. So you have stalactites on the ceiling.
Wow.
The water is dropping. You have stalagmites growing. And the stalagmites can be dated through the uranium-thorium analysis, which we did at the Institute for Geology of the Czech Academy of Sciences. The age was 19,000 plus minus 1,000 years. Now, it takes time for the stalagmites, for the surface to prepare, probably a few thousand years. So again, we go back more than 20,000 years. So everything we do really is taking us so deep in the past.
Also, in terms of the history, like a couple of things, like one is like you look again at Visoko in Bosnia, and you cannot find a point in history before, like prehistory, where this thing isn't already there. Like they're building things or have legends of them. The Bosnian heathen kings are establishing themselves above the clouds and the top of the Visoko. It's like it's all like there's nothing before it, like, so there's that. And then in terms of radiocarbon dating, yeah, there's problems. Like it could be like, radioactive volcanoes are putting off radiation, or there's different ways we can look at it than years. We could be looking at it at like the amount of radiation that's breaking down carbon. So it could be that there's certain things that happened, including atomic volcanoes like Oklo and Gabon went off, right? And that created a bunch of discrepancies in radiocarbon dating.
Well, there's another example of like an English castle that they had records of it being built in 750, and the results came back that it was 7,300 or 400 years
because
old.
the stones, the parts of it are older. Yeah, but this is all. See, the thing is, the Vosoko pyramids underneath concrete. So it's not something. It's more like a time capsule. So for these pieces that have been in concrete to be dated, it's different than something that's like, oh, I grabbed these thousands of years old stones and then put them together.
The stalactites. That's itself, right?
That's
the whole pyramid has to be dug. The tunnel has to be made before the stalactite can even start forming. And then, like he stated, with when they got the biological material from beneath the polygon or the geopolymer outer layers of the pyramid top or casing, that would have been the dates that they laid it and built it. Anything below that, obviously, it was still dirt. And that it's terraforming on such large scales, right? It's these entire mountain valleys. And the picture I have up right now is of, believe, Machu Picchu. And if it's not Machu Picchu, it's one of the other close by there. The whole point being that it's just mountain valleys and valleys of these terraformed terraces, infrastructure, and like it's the same as Michael Tellinger's found South Africa, and it's actually the same as what I've actually found in Alberta, Canada, in a lot of spots. But Sam, you were talking about the different ages. So the terracing here that we see on the sides of Machu Picchu and throughout what they claim is Inca, what generation would you say this is?
And also, do you think that underneath part of the Bosnian pyramid terrace that's been buried, or was it like that at some point?
Okay. What you are showing there, this is the photo from Urubamba Valley, on the way from Cusco to Machu Picchu. There are terraces like this. Now, lately, by Incas, they were used for the agriculture, but in some cases, they were part of much larger structures. When it comes to Bosnia, in science, one thing is very important, and that's consistency. When it comes to dating, since Bosnian pyramids are covered by soil and vegetation, the first question is, what is the age of the soil? The science that investigates the soil is called pedology. So we have Institute for Pedology in Bosnia. They took samples from the Sun and the Moon pyramid. And their conclusion, the soil is between 12 and 15,000 years. So this is the coverage, meaning the constructions are much older. And then during the excavation, our Italian pair of archaeologists, they discovered on the top of the blocks organic material. So it's going to give us the minimum age of the structure. We analyze it, 24,800 years plus minus 200 years. So we go back for 25,000 years, and that's the minimum age. And then once we discovered organic material between two blocks, like in the sandwich, we got 29,200 years plus minus 400 years. So we can see the consistency. It's not like that we discovered one piece of organic material and then we got a date. And then you are completely right. When it comes to stalactites and stalagmites, you have to have a hollow space. You have to have tunnels for the stalagmites to form. You have to have a hollow. So the water was dropping, stalagmites was growing. The tunnels was already there for more than 20,000 years. That's the age of the stalagmites. So the tunnel is obviously much older. So right now we have 28 datings so far. We also dated stalagmites not only with uranium-thorium, but also with the radiocarbon date. In other stalagmites, it was 26,200 years. So you see how everything is basically in that era of close to 30,000 years. So we know that these structures are extremely old, but they are not the only one in the world. It's a shame that when the mainstream archaeologists are working on some projects, let's say the Maya civilization, we had this woman from New York, she was professor at the university, and they were doing research in Belize. They discovered organic material. They discovered artificially made seeds. Somebody was playing with the seeds in the agriculture. She got more than 5,000 years, and she published that without asking her project manager or dean at the faculty, and they fired her because she was going more than 2,000 years deeper in the past than what they accepted officially. Like I said, we have so many interesting sites around the world, and they are much deeper in the past than what they teach us, and it's a shame they don't share that with the public. They want to keep us limited to 5,000-6,000 years, saying, "Oh, we are still at the infant phase. We are babies, and we need, someone who's going to lead us, elites, and so on." No.
So
I don't necessarily think they say that though. But go ahead, Zeros.
I'm muted. I don't know. They say a lot of things. They're probably, terrible people. No, but there's generalizations. Like, what kind of people, like, is anybody? My question is more like, if you think about 30,000 years ago, from what we're saying 30,000 years ago was like, kind of, we know that there were more hominids. There are different kinds of humans wandering around. There's Neanderthal, and yeah, so the Denisovans. So it makes you kind of, on Heidelbergensis, it makes you kind of wonder, like, if, are we talking about different kinds of humans, different kinds of hominids that are building this, maybe, or something? Are we talking about
the new science called anthropological genetics follow the movement of the people around the world? We know that humans in Europe were present first in the territory of Basques. Basques are Spain and the southern France for 55,000 years, and the second oldest oasis in Europe are the Balkan region, and Bosnia is in the central Balkan for 38,000 years. So if the pyramids in Bosnia were built 33,000 years, there is a possibility that it was built by humans, but not by the primitive Paleolithic man. He did not have means, transportation methods, or tools, or the ideas or designs to do that. Now, when we think, is it possible that at one time, in a short period of time, people were having access to very advanced information? Well, theoretically, it is possible. I mean, look what we did, our civilization. In the 19th century, we were almost in the Middle Age technology, and in 150 years, we went to the cosmic voyages. So it is possible that in one very short period of time, humans advanced so much. Maybe it happened before, maybe it did not. Now, your question, who? Now, is it possible that some very powerful, intelligent forces for some other dimensions around us were able to materialize stuff to build the pyramids? I would say it is possible. Number three, is it possible that somebody from outside of this planet, maybe hominid looking, but not Homo sapiens, they came, they built the network of the pyramids around our galaxy? It is possible. But right now, we don't have a proof for that. Number four, is it possible that some other intelligent beings, but off this planet, they've been around for millions of years, they built it, and they maybe lived in, let's say, hollow Earth, if it is hollow? Probably that's possible also. In 1950s and 1960s, the US patented the technology to build the underground tunnels under the US. And really, this technology is such that there is a machine going through the earth, going through the stones, 2,000 degrees temperature. It's melting the stone. It is like
powered
glass-like structures building. And it seems that in two different situations, they discovered huge caves with the beings hanging from the ceiling like bats, but they were not bats. They were more like reptoid-like. And they said they've been in hibernated states for millions of years, meaning that we are not the first one on our home planet. So I'm scientist, open-minded, but still scientist. I need proof who really built it right now. I don't have it for Bosnian or Chinese or all these Egyptian pyramids, or all these Mexican. So all the options are at the table right now.
So yeah, judging by some of those theories, though,
master builder race.
You put some of those.
You've got an open mind. You got
those theories ahead of Neanderthal, though. You don't think it's like that Neanderthal were more advanced.
Well, so Neanderthal would probably be like the fourth or like the third, like the giant.
We don't know. We have no idea what Neanderthal were like.
Well-
we have like after volcanoes, we think Neanderthal had no culture, basically, right? That's ridiculous because they have these amazing refined skills of making flints that probably come from some greater culture. We don't know. I mean, the idea that they made concrete the descendants of the Neanderthal are often like there are people in these regions like that in Malta and in the Balkans that love to make concrete, and they have like religious secrets about it.
Neanderthals were a little bit bigger than us. Their brain capacity was even bigger than ours. However, Neanderthals who disappeared 25,000 years back, it seems that for me they were on the top of the animal pyramid, on the top. But then all of a sudden, 400,000 years ago, Homo sapiens sapien appeared, which was totally new kind of species, intelligent, artistic.
From the bottom of
Two
God.
pair of chromosomes less. And biologically looking, Neanderthals were perfectly fit for this planet. They were perfectly adjusted. Only the strongest survived. The species. So meaning the strongest survived, meaning not the sick Neanderthals were, reproducing, but only the strongest one, without any genetical problems. And then all of a sudden, you have a species, Homo sapiens, who come there with 5,000 genetical flaws. How is it possible? Neanderthals, chimpanzee, gorillas had 2 or 3 because they were perfectly adjusted for this planet. And then you have Homo sapiens, intelligent, much more intelligent, with all these flaws. It seems that there was a genetical engineering done at a certain point in time, but they combined the species, the most advanced, probably Neanderthals, with their own genetic materials, which was not adjusted to this planet. And that's why we have those 5,000 flaws. In the real life, meaning we have 5,000 possibilities to get cancer in this life, TBC, all kinds of diseases. And that's the price we have to pay. Now,
who is they?
The next question is, of course, who and why did they create us? And it seems that somebody mentioned our friend Michael Tellinger, and it seems that it had something to do with the gold mines in South Africa. They were coming, picking up the gold mines, because really the traces of those gold mines, being old tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years, are found there. And most probably our first role was to be slaves to our creators and to dig gold for them.
Does that explain something?
Yes.
In some historical sources where you have multiple versions of humanity, is that kind of what you're talking about? Is that they've experimented multiple times of what works the best, of like their perfect cattle? Are you saying like we're like some sort of like cattle for them, or livestock, or?
Well, again, let's go back to the science. Now, the only sources that describe
anthropology, and so it's like Neanderthal would potentially or essentially most likely be Sasquatch, and that the elongated skulls were like the
Homo capensis,
the demigods that genetically edited us with some of their material, and then the so the Devonian would have been the demigods. I guess it would be Neanderthal genetically would be the elongated skulls, and then we're
that's supposed to be Homo capensis.
Wait, right? Because it's like there's one.
Yeah. So, but the idea that Bigfoot is Sasquatch is another hominid. It's important. It's relevant. But Sam, what were you about to say?
Okay, this is where again I'd like to go back to science. You asked about those different experiments. Now, in the clay tablets discovered in Mesopotamia, Sumerian clay tablets, there are 20,000 of them. Most of them were in West Berlin, while Germany was divided. And some people were trying to decipher them. So in the book, we can see that they were talking about different experiments to create the humans. That's one thing. We can see
the staff with the 2 snakes as the double helix. Yeah.
Yes. Then we can see, of course, astronomical information which are amazing. They are talking about the star constellations of Taurus, and they are giving distances from our solar system to different stars in the star constellation of Taurus. There are, 1,000 stars over there. They are giving the distances 98, light years, or 150, or
The Germans
2,000.
actually found Pluto through the Sumerian tablets.
Yes, that's Pluto. But I'm talking about the stars 100 light years away from us, and the precise distance between our solar system and those. Who would do that in Paleolithic times? And I think what you said, demigods, is the key word. Again, let's go to the scientific documents. The most important for me, artifacts from Egypt is so-called the Turin King List. There's the papyrus, which is held in Egyptian Museum in Turin, Italy. You enter the museum, on your left, a huge, like a wooden desk, and you can see in the glass this papyrus, 11 columns. They list all Egyptian rulers, and they divide them into 3 phases. The phase number 3, the last phase, are the sons of gods, or the pharaohs as you know them. Started 5,100 years ago. King Menes united Upper and Lower Egypt. They would rule Egypt 10 years, 20, 50, or if they got lucky, like Ramesses II, 67 years. So these are Homo sapiens, obviously. The second phase, the one before that, demigods and spiritual kings. They would rule Egypt 200 years or 300 years each. And the first phase is the phase of gods, with a small g. They would rule Egypt 1,000 years each. And it is written in the papyrus that the gods descended from the kingdom of heaven to kingdom of earth. And they would rule Egypt. And when did it happen? It happened 42,700 years ago. So they would rule Egypt for thousands of years. So is it possible that between 30 and 40,000 years back, the Egyptian pyramids were built? This is what I think. By, as they said, by the gods who had technology. If they lived 1,000 years, can you imagine what kind of technology they had? What kind of knowledge?
What's the explanation for the massive, the increase in erosion within the last 200 years through the pyramids if they've supposedly lasted 32,000 years?
They took everything off the pyramids. The pyramids used to be covered with...
the mountain pyramids.
Well, no, hold on. The Giza pyramids were covered with tiles, and they had gold on them, and those were stolen in the last few centuries. People went and took all the coverings. They used to be these white,
just like
beautiful...
the Mexican pyramids as well were also covered in the gold and the
and the metal and ceramic and stone. Mica. The stone lasted a lot longer than what they have now, which is breaking apart.
You are right. 3 major Egyptian pyramids at the Giza Plateau. They were covered by beautiful, smooth limestone blocks. What we see now is the layer below. It's still limestone, but rather rough. Only one pyramid, Khafre or Khafre, the second largest pyramid, close to the top, it has those beautiful limestone blocks covering. Also, the third one, Mykerinos or Mycerian pyramid, at the base you can see the original covering. That can last for a very long time. However, the red pyramid and the bent pyramid and the black pyramid in Dahshur, when you go there, there is no coverings there, and the stones, due to the erosion, is coming to the dust. Or even some other extreme cases like Hawara pyramids and so on, you can see that they are extremely old. We are talking about tens of thousands of years. In Egypt, I mentioned 155 pyramids, 28 stone pyramids, those that I mentioned. The rest of them were built from the mud bricks during the 12th and 19th dynasty. It was, rather soon. 19th dynasty is 3,300 years, and they are gone for a very long time. Limestone is primitive, inferior material.
So the bricks used for the covering of the pyramids in Egypt were the same quality as the bricks used in Bosnia, but the bricks on the inside underneath the covering were a separate material altogether that erodes quickly.
Yes, I would not call them bricks. I would call them blocks because they were really multi-ton blocks from limestone, very smooth limestone. In Bosnia, we have a concrete, extremely hard. I mean, it's been there for 30,000 years. It can withstand another 50 or 100,000 years of tectonic movements and erosion and climate and so on.
It's actually like a geopolymer, which is also, so it's really hard for things to grow in it or through it. So you can see like there's the short trees.
All the different layers seem like geopolymer. It's that the inner ones weren't designed to handle the weathering, and that they're limestone. So there's the chemical reaction, especially with more acidic rain, stuff like that, that it erodes a lot faster. And that once you have the casing stones and the different casing off, that's why they're now degenerating at such fast rates.
You are right. In order to make those blocks that you pointed us, a few minutes ago, those rectangular blocks, layer on top of the layer, they used as a construction materials pebbles, rocks, and sand while making tunnels. The tunnels were made in the material called conglomerate, and conglomerate is exactly that: pebbles, rocks, and sand. They came loose. They needed binding material, and you could probably see the brownish material. Okay, here, now, rectangular block. And show me the one with the, okay, you see the first row, the second row, the third row is below, and this is the first layer. Yeah, the second row. Good. They're on top of each other. That's not what the Mother Nature does. Mother Nature does not construct, but intelligent hands. And the binding material is either melted clay, and they got clay everywhere, or the lime-based material. So they used even some additives. So these are sandstone plates on the moon pyramid, the Bosnian pyramid of the moon. They cut those plates, and then we can see three rows of those terraces. To claim that this is natural, I mean, obviously those geologists, they don't know what they're saying.
Yeah, I keep seeing people that just need to go there. If they just go there, it's impossible not to see it.
Yes.
If you read a book, you don't have to look at it, I guess.
But the ancients were smart. They always used natural construction material because they knew properties of those materials. What we do today, everything's artificial. We made plastic, we made artificial cement, we made artificial rubber. Well, that's our problem. They used natural construction materials.
Have you found any similar type concrete or geopolymer in any other sites around the world that you've mentioned? Because, for example, in Caesarea in Israel, like the dock they had there, or whatever, the port, it was constructed of some sort of geopolymer concrete that's supposedly extremely strong. Have you ever heard of that? Or
Caesarea is the site and the first artificially made port, harbor in Eastern Mediterranean. At that time, they had two more, Alexandria and Gaza. Today, they don't have a port in Gaza. They used to have thousands of years back. Caesarea was made by King Herod, and they wanted to please the Roman Empire, and he was using Roman concrete. Ancient Roman concrete is one of the hardest and the best concrete material. They were adding the volcanic dust, and it would last literally forever. Even in the sea condition, the sea would actually make it even harder. So the example of Caesarea is a huge construction feat, but we know exactly when did it happen, by who, and why, and how. But excellent example of ancient Roman technology.
How hard is that compared to the Bosnian concrete that you're...
I have not measured that. I don't have a record of that. Of course, that the port is gone right now, and the Caesarea is a famous touristic place nowadays. Also important for Bosnia, since I'm from Bosnia. You know, the Bosnia was part of the Ottoman Empire. 1878, Austria-Hungary took over, and some Bosnians went from this part of Ottoman Empire, Bosnia, all the way through Balkan, then today's Turkey, to Caesarea. That was actually in other extreme, the farthest point East. From Bosnia. They were so upset with Austrian coming to Bosnia, and they had their village in Caesarea. So when I go to Caesarea, I like to go to that place.
Well, I was gonna say also I have Croatian and Bosnian family, and when they came to California and America, like they're known for their concrete. Like I have a great uncle who died. He had secret recipe for concrete, and it's known he'd like go in the night to get what he needed because he didn't want anyone to know where he was going. But I think he was going to the beach, by the way. So there's seashells a lot of the time is involved.
Yeah, you are right. Actually, they were using seashells.
The key part of the geopolymer reaction with the lime in it and the chemical.
They were adding seashells in Mexico. They were adding the eggs,
and the seashells actually, as the cracks happen and the water comes in and it erodes, it actually then triggers the chemical reaction more and recrystallizes the block.
The crystals
so
grow.
It's rehealing. It's self-healing by putting those seashells in. It's literally ingenious architecture.
What they were adding in the case of Bosnian concrete, they were adding the granite dust. Granite. We have granite, 5 kilometers from the Sun Pyramid.
How are they getting the granite into dust? How are they breaking it down?
That's actually
obviously they were grinding it somehow.
No, it's you have to see Dr. Bob Greenyer of the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project's work on what he's dubbed the wind hex, and it's through creating these tornado just wind vortexes, it's able to ionically break down the granite and put it into this fine powder that they then use as the
also you've got naturally occurring carbonate mineral phosphates like tufas, right? Tufas are like in the minerals that calcify. Kind of the closest thing you have to naturally occurring concrete or tufas. Like, how are tufas different? I mean, obviously they're more brittle and everything, but how do we? And are there any tufas that are like square slabs? Is there any way that they could be naturally occurring tufas? Like, or how can we prove they're not?
Well, there's the same question for the granite. They found so many stone spheres in Costa Rica from granodiorite. That's the type of granite. Now they are odd. How to explain that? They are stone balls, spherical. Granite never comes spherical in nature. So we simply need to allow to open ourselves for different past civilizations.
Now I have to wonder about disasters. Do you know about are there any historical volcanoes, eruptions, or like major disasters in the history of Bosnia? Like that would have accounted for some prehistorical loss of history,
No, not really. We never had so many volcano eruptions over here, and then the geology of the terrain is different. But I think the worst thing that happened to our planet was this end of the last ice age, 11,700 years ago, when more than 99% of humanity was wiped off from the face of the planet. Just a very few who got hidden in the underground tunnels or natural caves on the top of the mountain survived. When they got out, the knowledge has been lost. So we can see discontinuation. So whatever was built before that was forgotten. No records at all. But then we can see also that even during our recorded history, those libraries, they had so many manuscripts and books and so on. They've been intentionally, put on fire. Alexandria, Baghdad, Istanbul, Damascus, and so on. Some things were stolen and they are still in the private collections by elites, but most of it has been destroyed. Tibet,
the
Chinese
Vatican Library. That's what I say.
Yes, Vatican had 2 libraries. They had public library, and they even have, Vatican secret library. And it says, you go to the phone book, it says Vatican secret library. I called them, I contacted them, asked them about the Bosnian pyramids, and they answered me, well, we don't have records about the Bosnian pyramids. But they have secret, the third one, which is super, super confidential and secrets. But the things were destroyed when Diego de Landa, the Spanish archbishop, came to Central America. He was destroying all the Maya manuscripts. Only 4 books, 4 codexes survived. But even those 4 are so amazing. I'll just mention one of them. It's called
Only
Dresden.
until up until the 1980s, they literally taught that the Mayan, the Aztec, and the Inca had no language, no written language, no recorded language. And then it comes out that the Jesuits, Catholic Spanish, genocided their complete history.
Well, the Jesuits always told me that we had those 4 books, so poo-poo on you. But
So we have Dresden Codex, Paris, Madrid Codex, and Grolier, which is in Mexico. Probably 2 more, Prague and New York. But let me tell you one thing from Dresden Codex. So you open these books, and then you can see symbols for the planet Venus, and you can see symbols for the god Chuck. They're always related. And you can see 4 numbers. 4 numbers. The first number is 236. Maya, we know their numbers. I know that they're very simple. 1 dot is number 1, 4 dots number 4, 1 bar, 1 line is number 5, 3 bars, number 15. 4 dots, 3 bars, 4 plus 15, 19. The first row is 19, the second row 20 to 400, and so on. So they have 4 numbers: 236, 80, 250, and 8. What is 236? The Maya call them the night star. Why? Because in the night sky, you can see the planet Venus. It's very light. And then 80 is the number of days when the Venus is hidden behind the sun. And then 250, now we can see Venus again. They call it morning star.
They are obsessed with the morning star, aren't they?
Number 4 is 8. Again, Venus is hidden behind the sun. When you add those 4 numbers, 236 and 80 and 250 and 8, you get the number 592, I guess. 592. 5 years, 5 cycluses of Venus is 2,920. And exactly match 8 hour years. 8 times 365, 2,920. You go to Uxmal, which is in Yucatan, eastern Mexico, a beautiful palace. All the pyramids are at the north-south axis except for one. The Spanish, they didn't know better. They name it the Palace of the Governor. It's so monumental. It's 19 degrees off to the north-south. Why 19 degrees? Because at the night sky, the Venus is at 19 degrees in most southern position. And then there is a temple 20 kilometers away, also at 19 degrees. You connect them, you got the line, through which the planet Venus is moving. And on this Palace of Governor, northeastern and northwestern wall, you can see the numbers 5 to 8, 5 to 8, 5 to 8, 5 Venuses cycles and 8 hour years. So smart. And you are right about explanation about the Mayan. If you go to Encyclopedia Britannica in 1980, it will state that the Maya were not civilization, they were Neolithic society. No wheels, primitive stone tools, warlike, fighting all the times, sacrificing the enemies. That's how they describe them, as very primitive. Wrong, 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 wrong. Very advanced astronomically, mathematically, artistic. 21 calendars. Long count, 5,125 days. 5 long count calendars. Exactly the time needed for our solar system to make full circle within our galaxy Milky Way. How did they know that? We needed 100 years with our telescopes and computers.
How similar is the mythology in Bosnia compared to other places around the world that you visited?
We don't really have oral traditions about the Bosnian pyramids. We have people talking, there is something mysterious. During the last war in 1990s, when Visoko was bombarded, when the projectile would hit natural hill, that was a sound you would expect from the compact hill. But when it would hit the pyramid, you could hear the echo. Why? Because of inner passageways and chambers. But no oral traditions. However, what we have, the Maya tradition talks about the Pleiades, 52 years, very important for them. 52 years. They even had on their astronomical observatories in Mayapan, in Chichen Itza, observatories called Karakol. They had 2 window openings. One was looking at the Pleiades when it was in the most southern position, and the other one, the most northern. 52 years, very important. They had 3 calendars based on the Pleiades. One is 52 years, another one 13 times 52 years, another one 20 times 52 years. In Bosnia, 4 pyramids, the pyramid of the sun, moon, dragon, and love. When you put them on their layout, exactly match the map of the star system of Pleiades. 4 out of 7 stars of Pleiades perfectly match those 4 pyramids. So, does it mean something? Well, if the Orion belt, those 3 stars, are significant for the Giza pyramids and Teotihuacan pyramids and Palencia pyramids in Spain, it seems that the Bosnian pyramids have something to do with the Pleiades. And the most mentioned star system in all oral traditions around the world are the Pleiades, Navajo Indians, Hopi Indians, Pueblo Indians, Anasazis, southern US, Maya civilization, India, Indians from India, Aborigines, and now Bosnia.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say again, I with like family that were from Croatia and Bosnia, like you've got a place that's been conquered by everybody for so many, like the Turks, the Islamification, the Catholicization, the Orthodoxization, the Protestants, communism. So like a lot of the myths have been kind of subdued, but in general, there's still, everyone's got stories about seeing fairies up in the hills, right? And it's like, or it's angels, or it's Mother Mary, or it's, something from whatever, but it's like it's very, very common from everybody. And there's even like when I was saying like the whirling dervishes, like, so there's a group there, there's a kind of monk that just spins in order to experience God, or to have kind of, so Bosnia's a really interesting place because a lot of people, for a lot of reasons, are there to have spiritual experiences and to see things, and particularly the idea of like going up into the mountain. And again, the Bosna is kind of named after the Bosna River that's flowing right underneath that pyramid. So it's, almost everything kind of comes around to it.
Now, for the second time, you mentioned dervish. Dervish is the order within Islam. In the religions, people were not allowed to ask questions. Catholicism, Protestantism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam. However, there were always some orders that they were allowed to ask questions, and this is how they would improve their religions. Dervish, there are 12 orders of dervishes coming to Bosnia over the period of time. And those, the whirling dervishes, were the ones who could, during their ceremonies, go back to time, ask questions. And when I was starting the project back in 2005, 2006, I received a phone call. The guy said, okay, I'm one of the dervishes, and we had our session, and you are right. There is a pyramid there. There are 14 chambers inside the Bosnian sun. And not only that, it is much more than a pyramid. And, it was 2006. Now imagine this. I'm there. I discovered the biggest pyramid, the oldest, the concrete blocks.
I believe in dervishes, man. I believe in what they say.
I'll come back to dervishes. The CNN was there doing breaking news. I'm on CNN. At that time, 2006, that was #1 media in the world. ABC, MSNBC, BBC from London, ZDF.
It was before they built the narrative against.
And the guy is telling me there is something even more important than the pyramid. I said, how can it be more important? I'm at the top of the world. But then during the last 18 years, I realized, yes, much more important is pyramids as the energy machines. Affecting our lives, our food, our drink, our communication, our spiritual senses. It is much more than the pyramid. When the dervishes were traveling, before the Ottoman would conquer certain parts of Europe or Northern Africa or Middle East, first they would send dervishes. Dervish, they were usually the most intelligent, the most intellectual. They were traders also. They were spies for their armies and so on. They came to Bosnian territory, where Bosnia was kingdom back in the 14th century. They came and they picked up two locations because they were always looking for the most energy potent places. The first place was in the southern Bosnia, close to the city of Mostar, near the town of Blagaj. There is a huge water source coming from the natural cave. There's the largest water source under any cave in Europe. Water, energy. And the second place was exactly the middle of the triangle between the sun, moon, and dragon pyramid in central Bosnia.
Wow.
The middle, because this is the most potent energy place. Maybe they did not know about the pyramids, but they knew about the energies.
And the water,
That's-
right? Yeah.
Yes. And there is underground water there. So that's why the dervishes are important even for our project.
Interesting. Yeah, because like again, they're like downriver from you, and like they have like giant fish farming from the energy water. So if you're ever eating fish, eat the dervish pyramid water energy fish.
Yes.
So that's like the exact opposite pyramid scheme of like the Pacific Fukushima poison fish. You've got an inverted pyramid of structured water, structured energy fish.
Yes. Yes.
Pretty amazing. Well, I know we're at 2 hours. It's pretty crazy. You want to tell them where we can get more of your information, or did you? Sorry,
Sam, how long are you able to go? Because Zertis, I could end it on your channel if let you go.
Sorry, I
to 2
assumed
hours
you wanted to
if
go
you
2
can
hours, but
keep-
Yes, well, I have
so
some meetings here. It's already, what is it? 10,
you gotta
22
get going, so we'll
Yeah.
have to reschedule another one because
yeah,
think
definitely we should do it again.
Yeah, we've had excellent conversation, and I'm glad that I talked to knowledgeable people. Usually, the journalists or people who talk to you, they have 10 questions. They ask you questions, and that's it. But obviously, you know the topic, and I'm glad that I had the chance to talk to you. Let's schedule another one.
Fantastic.
I don't know, couple
Love
of
that.
months from now or something, and we can discuss all other places, all other interesting topics from history that they affect our present and our future.
I want to get everybody involved who's interested in this. Like, if you guys want to join up on the Tartary Nova Discord talking about the history of Bosnia and what might have been going on, because the fact that these things have been here for so long means there's so many interesting stories that come out of Bosnia, come out of Visoko, and the idea of apparitions, but fairies, mythology, and that history going back. This idea that there's something going on, like all these civilizations, right? People building these super cities, and the first books coming out of Europe a lot of the time are coming out of these cities in Bosnia. So it's so important.
Yeah, what's been shown right now is our friend Arthur Faram, who is watching the pictoglyphs from above. And then he has very interesting methods showing that there is a connection between major archaeological sites on different continents. And then he's done extensive research on Bosnian pyramids and, the triangles, the elements of sacred geometry.
Right here, what he's showing is that the geoglyphology method, the actual lengths and angles of each of the sides of the pyramids were made specifically for exact measurements that he puts into his geoglyphology calculation, these radial points, and that they actually map out to all these other specific ancient sites around the area. And that even the four corners of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, that the three plot to Luxor, Tunis, and Lewis, the three main angles, and then the four corners, when added the cardinal points, it actually plots exactly to the southern border of Russia, even to today. Luxor, Tunis, the Bay of Nazarenes, and the north tip of the British Isles. So every angle length of these pyramid mountains
They're
were
going
built
off.
specifically to map and connect to all of these other ancient sites around the world. And what's so amazing about Arthur Fehrman's geoglyphology methods is, and deciphering all the different sites, especially like Karnak, like Brittany, I believe in France, like where all those megalithic stones are. He shows that it's all this geoglyphology and that it's pointing to all these other sites. And that he shows that the pyramid of the moon, he believes, is 900, 500 BC, so 11,500, just like they claim it was the time that they buried in Turkey there, forget the name. Göbekli Tepe, right? And it's like the Younger Dryas catastrophe event, essentially, like it was just after it, or the time of Atlantis.
But the point is, if you look at this pyramid,
on,
you'll never see it unless you look at it straight on. If you look at these pictures, you're never going to believe it from above until you just go there. Because if you see it, it's just going to, I mean, you can see this math, and then it's still, I think this is a problem for people that don't understand. They're like, oh, I'm looking at a book. As soon as you're there and you see the thing, it's impossible not to recognize that it is a synthetic pyramid, that it's not a mountain, that it's not just some sort of like weird accident.
Year,
that this
you
stuff
became one of the 250,000 or 400,000 that made it.
I want to be part of the 144,000. Let's say that.
No, that's already happened. What I'm saying is, this next year, all 5 of us are going to be there and be part of the 500,000, and then the year after, we're going to be part of the 1 million. Because, like you're saying, you have to be there, experiencing it and seeing it is what really verifies it and being part of it.
It just blows away any book. It'll blow away any book, and then you'll be like, "Oh, that is really amazing how it does." Now that I know it actually is a pyramid. Now look how crazy it is that it goes off and it connects to all these things. But I think that until you just like know that it's real, because so many people are working so hard to hex the pyramid to make it seem like from the internet and from that it's possible at all, that it's not real, that you just need to debunk it. You just need to see it, and then you'll know, okay, because there's no possibility that this isn't real when you see it.
I think honestly, I think the tunnels are enough evidence for anyone who's a disbeliever. I mean, if you see these tunnels and you don't believe it after that, that's
no, dude, those are natural tunnels. Just go to sleep.
It's shocking.
Geoglyphology. You can't debunk geoglyphology. That's the whole point of
99% of the conversations I've had about this thing are just like, is it a natural anomaly? Because people don't understand. Like, they literally are still stuck there. So I'm just saying, they got to see it, and then they'll be done. Then you'll accept it. All right, where can we get your website? Is it Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun?
BosnianPyramids.ba, BosnianPyramids.ba, YouTube Bosnian Pyramids TV, and of course under my name, Sam Osmanagić, Instagram, Facebook Bosnian Pyramids also.
And I've already put both of those links in the description of the videos. So if you want to follow Sam, check out the work, or book a trip like I know we're all going to be doing, and you're saying music festivals you happen there. So that's we're definitely going to have to be a part of as well.
Summer Solstice 2024, June 16, June 23rd. You're all welcome.
Dude, and the pizza, so good. Great pizza there. The pyramid pizza they make, it's a triangle.
Guys, I thank you very much. I really enjoyed, and we will be talking more in the future.
Thank you very much.
I'll see you in April.
Yes, okay. See you in April in LA.
Have a good night, everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. We will catch you on the next one. And... Ron, they actually have dug out the Bosnian pyramids and have hit by lightning, and that's why we're going there. Got an ongoing archaeological excavation and project going on in the last 17 years. We will get way more into that in part 2. Thank you all. That's okay.